alive and kicking, live, together with everyone. It's good to be back in Montreal, in Montreal, after being away, visiting children and grandchildren in Atlanta, the last couple of days being in New York at the OIHEL, and being at the JLI executive meetings, which I have the merit to be involved in. The executive of JLI, Jewish Learning Institute, which discussing many of the forthcoming things that need to be done as an organization to move forward, to conquer the world. Yes, we're going to conquer the world through Torah, through the study of Torah, through the values and the teachings of Torah, through the mitzvahs that the Torah elaborates. We are going to take over the world. And that means we're going to have goodness and kindness in our world. Because when you study Torah, as I'm sure everyone here can attest, it just makes you a kinder, better person. Bring more goodness into the world. So that's our goal. That's the aim. And here together, we work on that together. That's beautiful. Welcome to Tanya today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zichron Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada. Back. Creatures of habit. What's your habit? I know what it is now. To come and learn Tanya. That's a great habit. Don't lose it. Keep it up. I mean, I don't have to tell you because you're doing it. So it's a privilege and a pleasure to be here and to share with you Tanya today. We welcome, as we always do, Rabbi in Morocco. I was just speaking to a rabbi in Montreal, from New York who was in Morocco, speaking to us live from Morocco, in Fez, the home of the Rambam, where he was born. Terrence, TJ is in Australia. Welcome. Rusty is in Texas. Good morning. Clem in Brisbane, Australia has joined us. History in the making. Absolutely. Not just history, but life itself. John, shalom to you in North Carolina. Andrea is in Phoenix with us. Greta has joined us in Dayton, Ohio. Welcome. Davida and Liba, twin sisters, having a Tanya-rific day in New York. Sarah is joining us also in New York. Ashley is coming to us from Texas. June in Australia. Getting very late. Michael, shalom to you in Germany. Jan is joining us in Mexico. Amy is in Colorado. Daphne, a wonderful Wednesday in South Carolina. Jane is in the Philippines. Good evening. Jeff is in Bloomingfield, Michigan. Melanie in Chicago. Welcome. Sandy in Michigan. Who else is here? David is in Sacramento, California. Leah is joining us in Florida. Elise in Georgia. Jerry is in Texas. Abu. From Nigeria. Eugenia is in Calgary, a fellow Canadian. And Julia in Pennsylvania, welcome. Stan is in the United Kingdom, in London, joining us. In the Philippines, Darren is with us. Diane in Arizona. Chava is in Colorado. Welcome aboard. We have Michael, Ruthie, David, Liana, Batya, Vilma, Jenna have joined us. Celeste? No. Okay. We have Instagrammers. Marlene in Florida. Marilyn is in Delaware. Akoy in Lima, Peru. Chabad MM. Rachel in South Carolina. Yenta Talabenta in New York. Jordan is with us. Beautiful. Beautiful. Andrew in New Jersey. Rachel in Riverside, California. All right. Know thyself, then you can know God. By understanding the relationship between our soul and the body will give us an understanding of God and the world and me and you and everything in between. Our quest is to know, where is God revealed? God is everywhere, but in a hidden way. Just as the soul is everywhere in me, but hidden. The essence of the soul is hidden. And therefore it's equally in my thumb as it is in my heart and in my brain and my 2 feet. No distinction. There is a distinction, though, the way my soul is in my eye, because my eye has the capability of seeing. Whereas a finger, my forefinger, has, some capacities, but not as great as the eyes and what they can accomplish, because the soul there is uniquely, the light of the soul is contracted in a manner that gives the capability of sight to the eye, a lesser capability to a finger to accomplish what it accomplishes, or to a toenail, which is even lesser of a functionality than a finger, and much lesser than the eye that sees. So the essence of the soul and the functionality of the soul, the way it animates the particular limbs and organs of the body. God, the particular way he animates the world, the particular way he animates me, a human being, differently than he does, an inanimate object like this mug. The greater contraction on the light in the mug and a lesser contraction in creating me, greater light. I hope. No, for sure. Reveal that at least. Don't be a mug shot. Be alive, living. Chassid. So, but where does that ray come from? Where does the ray of my soul come from to give vitality to my finger? Well, it comes from the first manifestation of the soul, the way it is in the brain. Not the essence of the soul. It doesn't come from there. But it comes from the full force manifestation of the soul, the way it is in the brain. That's the principal manifestation, an undiffused vitality in the brain. And from the brain, all of the organs receive merely a ray of light, some greater array of light, like the eye, and some lesser, like a finger. Right? So that's the metaphor for us to understand God in the creative process. Now, the essence of God is everywhere equal. There's no higher, no lower. But the first manifestation, essential, vital stream of vitality is in what we call meichen, divine intelligence. That in the divine intelligence is made up of the divine will of God, and Chabad, Chachma Bina B'das, wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. There, it's the undiluted, undiffused vitality, the first revelation of the Ein Sof of God, meaning the limitlessness of God, the essence of God that's beyond revelation, and therefore hence equally everywhere, in the world. But the first revelation is divine intelligence. Where is that divine intelligence? It is clothed in Torah and mitzvahs, because Torah is God's will, that He says in the Torah, do this, don't do that. 248, do this, and 365 is don't do that. Right? Don't eat that kind of thing. No. Give charity. Put on your tefillin. So the do's and the don'ts that have divine intelligence behind it. Right? So it's the Torah mitzvahs. So they are the undiffused. So the divine intelligence of God clothes itself in Torah and mitzvahs to become the undiffused stream of vitality that descends into the worlds and reveals itself in particular ways in the world, which we'll get back to now. By the way, parenthetically, the Alter Rebbe doesn't say this here, but that means that Torah and mitzvahs becomes the vital force of the world. It's the source of all vitality. Metaphorically, it's like the sun, or the brain in the head, that is the source of all vitality. From there, the world gets a mere stream, a ray, right? Again, into the finger, that the finger acts like a finger, and the brain, and the hand acts like a hand, and so on and so forth. But that divine intelligence, that which is, again, the general stream of vitality, where does it become revealed? It's in the brain, but where does it become revealed? So, metaphorically, let's take the human being. The brain is, again, that source of undiffused soul, vitality of the soul, the first revelation, the undiluted manifestation of the soul. But where does it really become manifest that you have intelligence? When you say something that sounds intelligent. That's how you know the person's intelligent. Because you may have intelligence, but if you don't communicate it, then you wouldn't know it, right? Like it says in the Haggadah of Passover, Pesach. Chacham mahu omer. Chacham, what does he say? Well, another way to read it is Chacham mahu. Chacham, what is he? Omer, what he says. How do you know someone's a Chacham? Listen to what he says, right? And the point being over here is the divine intelligence that clothes itself in Torah and mitzvahs, that becomes the undiffused stream of vitality that descends into the world to give vitality to the world, its manifestation, right, occurs in the sphere of Malchus. So we start off with the sphere of Chochmah, but where does that divine intelligence manifest itself is in the last of the divine attributes called Malchus. It becomes the source of vitality for all the worlds, that they should receive a particular ray of light, a diffused glow, right? Here we're talking about the undiffused glow, like the sun itself, or the brain itself, right? The undiffused glow is there. But to get diffused glow that shines from there and gives, as the soul does to the finger to be a finger and to the eye to be an eye, so likewise that in this world, that it should radiate and give vitality. So it does from the sphere of Malchus. Now, that sphere of Malchus has a few names to it. One is called Matronisa, which means queen. Because what does the queen do? Reveals the power of the king. It's also called Ema Tata, a lower mother. The lower mother. There's a higher mother, that's Bina, feminine quality. And the lower mother is Malchus, because a mother tends to the child, taking care of the child. So it's another term for Malchus. Then there is a third term called Shechina. Shechina means divine presence, dwelling, the way it dwells. So the queen is, so there's three different aspects of Malchus over here. There's the way the queen is in relation to the king. That's the higher part. Then there's the mother in a relationship lower than her to the child, meaning that which comes, right, that comes forth from. And then you have the way Shechina, the way the indwelling that's within the created thing, that it's revealed there. And all of this is called the world of manifestation. This is God manifesting. The Ein Sof, limitless aspect of God, that now is first comes into divine intelligence that is clothed in Torah mitzvahs, is manifest, is revealed, world of manifestation, is revealed in Malchus. The Malchus is the quality of queen, mother, indwelling. Right? That is all called the sun, or the brain. From there, of course, then comes the ray of light that becomes the creative force. And now with this we can understand that Malchus, which is royalty, kingship, manifesting the Ein Sof, the limitlessness of God, becomes the Word of God, as the king rules by his word. So it becomes the Word of God that is the creative force, which means that ray of light that comes from the sun, that becomes now the vitality, this specific, limited, contracted light of God, that is a greater contraction that Gives vitality to a finger to act like a finger. Gives lesser vitality, but still a ray, but lesser contraction rather, not lesser vitality, lesser contraction on that light, that it gives a more developed or more what's the word, more developed, more complicated, more, that the eye could see, right? So that's more than what the finger can do. And all that is, again, coming from Malchus, which is manifesting the Ein Sof, called Queen, Nether Mother, the lower mother, and Shekhinah, divine presence, which is the source of all vitality. And it's also the source of the Jewish souls. That was pretty mystical, I must say, and I hope you followed it, because it's important to understand this, as we will see where this takes us. It's going to take us places. It's going to take us to appreciate, where is the manifestation? Where can I find God today? All right, questions, comments, thoughts? I see Brett has a question. What is the implication of the feedback loop that exists between the brain and the affected organs? Is there a feedback from the brain to that which animates it? So remember, we're using here the brain as a metaphor, right? The brain is a metaphor, just like the sun is a metaphor. By the way, folks, everything's a metaphor. And you know what it's a metaphor for? To perceive godliness. And that's what it means, the oneness of God. Oneness of God doesn't mean that we don't believe in Zeus. Well, obviously we don't believe in Zeus. Or we don't believe in, in Yoshka. That's what it means. It means that everything in the world is connected to God. So when you could see the sun, which I don't see the sun out right now, but that's okay. But when you see the sun, or for that matter anything else, and for you it becomes a parable, a metaphor, for you to appreciate and understand something about God. Wow. You're seeing a different world. You're living a different existence, because you're seeing the interplay, the interconnection of everything. So, Brett, and you're speaking about the feedback loop that exists between the brain and the organs. Is there a feedback from the brain to that which animates it? Are you talking about the blood that goes circular? I'm not certain if that's what you're speaking about, and that's what your reference point is. Or are you talking about the message that if someone steps on your toes and it hurts, so it's sensed in the brain? Actually, it's the brain that sends the message, the other way around even. So yes, that is a metaphor for something else that we used in chapter 2 of Tanya. If I understand your question correctly, I might not be understanding your question correctly, but if I do understand it correctly, so then the blood, sorry, not the blood, but the fact that this, the sensory perception is in the brain. It sends the message to the foot, right? It's sensed in the brain. It sends the message to the foot, which means the brain of the Jewish people, the Alter Rebbe says in chapter 2, they sense, the brain of Jewish people, meaning the Rebbe, right? Rosh Bnei Israel, the head of the Jewish people. That's right. And the head feels the rest of the body. So the Rebbe feels, and not only feels, but gives vitality to the rest of the body. That's another way that the metaphor is used. But I'm not certain I got your question clear, that I answered it properly. So you could try me again. What is the 10th descendant of Adam? Abraham is the 10th generation. That was a question from Samuel. Jeff, so the light of God contracts more on this world, the lower world of Asiya, but does not contract less or more on the individual body parts. Well, it does, via the soul. The soul is less contracted in the eye and more contracted in my fingernail. That's why your eye will hurt a lot more than maybe your fingernail would hurt. Or, well, I don't know if hurting is the right way to express it. But the functionality of the eye is much more sublime, much more, what's the word, wondrous than your finger, that you can move your finger up and down. I hope that answered. Davida. Yeah, Melanie. I didn't see Melanie having a question. Okay, please put 2 question marks before your question. Otherwise, I don't notice it necessarily. Because the brain gets the ray of light, is that why men wear a kippah? Well, first of all, the brain is not a ray of light. It's like the sun. From the brain comes a ray of light, right, that animates the rest of the body with a ray. Is that why they wear a kippah? Well, yes and no. Not such a bad question, Melanie. No, not a bad question. Yes and no. We learned this in chapter 35, and actually, we began the previous chapter, 51. By the way, we're getting close to finishing. That there's a ray, that the Shekhinah, the divine presence of God, rests upon us. And because the Shekhinah rests upon us, that's why men, in that humility, will cover their head. An excellent question. But it's not because of the brain, it's because of the mitzvah that we do, so then the divine presence encompasses us. So in respect to the divine presence, so Jewish men and boys from 3 years old on wear a yarmulke, kippah. Excellent question. Thank you, Melanie. Mosech, Mashiach, I don't know. Does sin block any vitality to the rest of the body? Does it cause contraction? Excellent. So sin is comparable to the blood flow in the body. If you have an obstruction of the blood flow, if your arteries are hardened, so then it restricts the blood flow. A sin restricts the blood flow, the figurative blood flow that that is reflected and affects the physical blood flow or ailment. Yes, so absolutely correct. Jane, thank you, Davida. Everything in the world is connected with God. Does that mean even the names or characters of the mythological gods whom most people are worshiping is considered connected to Him? What do you mean it's connected with Him? It means it's getting vitality. It only exists because of God. So somewhere to worship myTanyaRabbi.com mug, don't worship it. Is it not getting vitality from God? It is. It's not getting it from His inner desire, inner will, inner via klipa, covering over, but it's coming, absolutely. God gives vitality to everything. It's coming from a negative force of God. Great questions, everybody. Thank you. Okay. Okay, I don't see another question. Beautiful. Folks, as always, amazing. I'm inspired by you guys, and I appreciate that. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zurich and Kadesh in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. JLI is tonight at 7:30. Forget not. And Rambam coming right up in a moment or two. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.